I hope this project doesn't go amok, amok, amok. Hey y'all, welcome back to my channel, or welcome if it's your first time here. My name is Katherine Young and I'm a creative. And on this channel, we do vintage, thrifting, creative projects, and more. And if that sounds fun to you, please subscribe and don't forget to ring that bell because you will be the first to know when I next upload. And we are in the heart of spooky season. And I just got back from a vacation and I was actually in Salem. Yes, it was a bit of a pilgrimage for my spooky heart. I actually picked up this Sanderson Sisters Disney Amok 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 flannel at the Salem Witch Museum, and I just lived my witchy tourist dreams. Today we are making a tribute to the one, the only, the Sanderson sisters. Now, don't get me wrong, I am not a professional doll crafter of any kind. I am actually super duper intimidated by this project. Just know I am not a pro and this is not a tutorial. So you might be familiar with Bradley dolls, also known as pose dolls, boudoir dolls, or stockinette dolls. And they are these kind of dolls for display that people used to have in like the 70s, 80s. They're Bradley dolls. And they have beautiful vintage faces, but they're just not super desirable anymore. I see them a lot secondhand, and they're often damaged. So this one has some discoloration here, discoloration here. There's stuff on her dress, and her dress is ripping. And I just kind of keep wondering, like, what can we do to save these dolls? What can we do to make these dolls something that people want now instead of something people want to get rid of? And so today, y'all, I'm taking 3 Bradley dolls and I'm going to try to transform them into the Sanderson sisters. Now, one thing I'm going to get ripped apart for is I am not trying to make like an exact replica doll of Bette Midler. I am not trying to make these dolls look exactly like the actresses. I know there's a lot of tutorials on YouTube where they make dolls that look very realistic. That is not my goal today. What I want to do is I want to take these Bradley dolls and I want to make them look like they were made in the 70s. And in the 70s, the Bradley company knew who the Sanderson sisters were. So I still want them to feel like a 70s doll, but like in the 70s, the Sanderson sisters were well known and a doll was made for them. So I still want them to have the Bradley feel, the vintage feel, but just kind of in the characters of our favorite witches. In preparation for this project, I bought some secondhand doll hair. I got this lot on eBay for a really good deal, and I think I'm going to try to use this to put some more hair on my ladies, especially the bright orange hair. One of these ladies needs some bright orange hair. I also thrifted some kids' clothes at the thrift store, some women's clothes, and all kinds of different fabric and patterns that I think will work really wonderfully for this project. I figured if I used smaller amounts of fabric, that was less wasteful. So I think I got everything I need to get these started. Drink up, witches, here we go.
So I started taking all the clothes off these ladies. Now, I'm using Undo to help me with all the glue. What is different about these pose dolls, about these Bradley dolls, are the clothes aren't actually functional. Like, you can't take the clothing off and change them in and out like a lot of different dolls. These are purely for show. So the clothes, a lot of it is just glued on or stitched right into the doll. This actually took me way longer than I want to admit. It was hours each doll to pull these pieces off. I couldn't find my seam ripper at the time. It would have been super beneficial. But yeah, this took way more time than I really want to admit. But also, it was kind of a benefit, right? Because having the clothing be kind of glued onto these dolls really helped me in making the clothing for these dolls. So I could just kind of make clothes that just fit on and glued onto the dolls without having to sew and make something that was functional. It made my job of creating the final outfits actually easier. And here are my naked ladies, but as you can see, there's some rips in the stocking net, there's pieces of clothing left on. I really had to kind of figure out which doll was which based on the damage that was left on these dolls. These dolls were just way more fragile than I realized. So what I did, so I didn't get confused, is I put tags on them with the different names of each doll, so that I would know that I would know who was who. So this one is Winifred because Winifred has a necklace and her outfit will cover that rip. Next, I went in with some water and some OxiClean to remove some makeup so I could do some repaints on these dolls. Specifically Winifred, I want to repaint her lips into like that heart shape that is iconic for her. And I also want to really remove her eyebrows. If you look at her eyebrows are very, very light in the movie. So that's what I'm doing right here. And OxiClean just takes all that off pretty well. Look at that, right? Looks pretty good.
You may be thinking to yourself, Katherine, how do you know OxiClean will remove the paint that well? Well, I'm glad you asked. I know because I had to start this project completely over. I actually completely screwed up. I was trying to clean these dolls and I thought the OxiClean would just get off the dirt and dust from dolls, and I completely ruined them. I didn't include any footage in this video, but I completely ruined dolls and I had to restart over. I had to source brand new dolls and just start from scratch. So just know that not every DIY or art project you see always goes to plan, okay?
So I'm doing this same technique of removing some paint on each of the dolls. So this one is going to be Mary. I'm going to repaint her mouth kind of in a way that it has that little side lip that is very iconic with her character. She makes that kind of cute little grimace with her mouth that I just adore. And here I am drawing the lips back in the way I want it. I'm making sure that this is Winifred again. I'm making sure that her lips are that heart color. I'm also going into the eyes. The eyes on all these Bradley dolls really have a lot of blue and green in them, and I'm turning the eyes into more of a brown to make it more of the Hocus Pocus colors. Same with this doll. This is going to be Mary. On her eyes are almost like a blue-gray as far as I can tell from the movie. Different posters and different images make them look brown, some blue-gray. But the one thing I needed to add on this one was thicker eyebrows. This is Sarah. She really needs thicker, dark eyebrows. That is a trademark of her in the movie, as well as red lips. Now it is time to work on hair for these ladies. The first one that I felt most comfortable with was trying to do the hair for Mary, because it really is just that iconic top knot twisty piece. I felt like, oh, I can glue on a top knot type thing. I can do that. I just felt the most confident with it. It felt like the easiest in my mind to figure out. Not having real experience with doll hair really was a drawback with this process. Also with Mary, I really kind of thought about what a Bradley doll really would look like. And I tried to make the top knot look like something that maybe a Bradley doll would have. I utilized wire and a lot of hot glue to make this twisty little top knot work out. And I'm really happy with how it turned out, but I definitely did not have the experience with hair that I wish I had. I also used a lot of stitching to get that hair all tied in to the wire underneath to keep it to the shape that I wanted. And that worked out pretty darn good. In the end, I think the top knot really worked out. I had a few strays of hair I had to work on. I wanted some strays left because she has hair that has little strays in the film, just not as many as there actually were. And then I decided to put some braids around the top knot. Now, this is not to film. The braids is something that Bradley dolls have in a lot of their stylings. So this was actually a choice that goes against the film and goes more towards how I think a Bradley doll would look. And I think it really gives it that vintage look. I think a vintage Bradley doll would utilize braids in this hairstyle. Next, I really thought I needed more red hair, and I saw a online recommendation that just acrylic paint would dye the hair. And you know what? It did work. So I took the curly hair, got more hair, and I started to build up like these buns, kind of like Princess Leia type buns, with the other red locks that I had. And I felt like this was a good base to build the hair onto. And it worked extremely well, actually. So I just kind of kept building it up higher and higher, more 3D. And once I got it to the place that I liked, I really felt like that was a good place to build off. Isn't that nice? Yeah, I really like that. I think that's a good place to build. And then I just started gluing on chunks of hair. I just used hot glue for this. I'm sure there are doll makers out there that are gonna freak out that I did this because it's such a wrong technique, but it worked for me. It's how I could visualize it in my brain to put hair on this doll. And I'm actually happy with the outcome. I don't feel like you can really see the hot glue. And yeah, I really liked the coverage of this, but I'm sure there are better ways to do this. But yeah, it's just one of those things where it's like, I don't have much experience. So I just kind of had to just wing it. All right, and now a purchased wig. And we are gonna put that purchased wig on Sarah. Oh, that's right. I did not mention this wig before.
And so here's the thing. I got scared with the hair. I just didn't do so great with the hair of the two previous dolls, and they were more like a glue the hair on kind of situation. So I just ordered a wig off of Amazon and made it work. I am really happy I did, but I'm bummed I couldn't use, the secondhand hair I bought, and I couldn't make the single strands of hair I had work. I just didn't have enough experience and just didn't feel comfortable, so I bought the wig.
All right, so I'm trying to fit this wig on her. It did not fit her head, as you can see. So what I did is I took the wig and I cut into areas where there was no hair. I cut down into the wig, and that really helped it fit the head. Once I got that in a place where it could fit the head, I really cut down her hair even more to make sure it really glued down well. And I'm pretty dang happy with the outcome of that. I think it's really great. And look at the hair on all these ladies. Honestly, I feel like the hair really makes them. Like, I know who they are now. So the last part of this is going to be their clothing, right? Yeah, let's get them dressed. Oh, look. My fur babies are helping getting the ladies dressed. I'm so grateful, honey. Oh, yeah. Great spot to lay down. Thanks so much. Oh, no, fur baby number 2. This is what happens when you leave stuff out in my house. You just can't. All right, so now I was kind of like trying to figure out how to measure the skirt length. And by measuring the skirt length the way it was originally on the Bradley doll, it turned out that the skirt was too long. And what I think happened is the Bradley doll skirt had the hoop underneath it. So by poofing it out more, it really made it kind of shorter. And I didn't take into account for that. And that's just inexperience. Inexperience in working with doll clothing. So I started doing these different layers based off of her outfit, based off of photos of it, and based off of actually like costumes that you could buy, Halloween costumes for Mary. And I think it turned out pretty cute. I really did like it. And I didn't have a pattern for any of this, you guys. I just kind of cut out material and I fit it to their bodies. I know this might be really confusing to some people and they might think, God, I wish you would have included a pattern. This is not helpful for me to just see this and look at this. But my brain is really good with spatial things, geometry type things. It's kind of how my brain works. So I don't need a pattern. I can understand what shapes are needed to put on the doll to make the outfit. And I'm sorry, I know that's going to be really frustrating to some people watching this. But yeah, that's just how my brain works. Now, the final touches here is I am getting the top of that collar kind of pulled in. This is deviating from the movie and just sticking more to a vintage Bradley doll, but I actually really like the outcome of it. All right, this is the most complex outfit. This one took hours. This was the most complex outfit. I pulled apart this dress with this really cool kind of shimmer fabric, and it worked really well. These are actually the sleeves of the little girl dress, and they worked really great to repurpose as her long bell sleeves. Yeah, the shape just worked really great. And then in pulling apart this dress, I realized there was this mesh in here, which will be perfect for Sarah's dress. I was really excited about that. I hadn't been able to find mesh thrifting that I thought would work good for Sarah's sleeves, and I was just gonna kind of make sleeves that weren't super accurate, but that worked great. I feel pretty confident with how that top jacket came together. And so now I am just building the other under pieces. Again, remember, I kind of can just see shapes and figure it out in my head. I know that's frustrating to some people. For Winifred, I really just glued her outfit onto her, which was different than Mary. But because Winifred, I feel like the front of her outfit was so form-fitting compared to Mary, that felt right to me. That felt like what I needed to do. And here I'm actually covering up a mistake. Ooh.
I actually super screwed up this part. So I actually put her outfit together like wrong sides, right sides the wrong way. So like both sides of the jacket were actually wrong. So I went back in with another panel, put it over and glued it. You cannot tell, but I did this part completely wrong. Yeah, it was a mistake.
And it looks just fine. You really can't tell that there's multiple layers on that. And I feel like that fits really, really well. I'm just trimming off some excess there. Really love how that fit. Her outfit just had so many layers, but it was so fun when it all came together. I'm just truly, really proud of her outfit. Hers was by far the most complex. So I ended up gluing it all on, and then I deviated from her belt actually, and I decided to just do it more like a vintage Bradley doll would do for the belt. And I tied a bow around her waist. I then just made a gather in the back to make the back of the dress more form-fitting. Again, this deviates from the movie, but I feel this is how a Bradley doll would be styled. So not really film accurate, but I think it looks good as the doll outfit. I then kept the Bradley doll necklace instead of trying to recreate her necklace from the movie, and I just painted the inside pearl purple. Really liked how that looked. Okay, next, I'm just using acrylic paint to paint that mesh again. So acrylic paint was my friend with these projects. I really needed to trim her hair before I even got the outfit on because she was so darn top heavy. She just kept falling over. Her hair really is kind of longer than it even is in the movie in my doll, but it's fine. I think it looks cute. Again, with her outfit, I yet again kind of glued it right onto her body as we go along. And sewed it right onto her body. It just made more sense because yet again, her outfit was a bit more form-fitting. And you know, she had some really fun layers going on in the skirt. And so it was fun to make kind of that little peplum piece and the skirt all together. It was just kind of fun to figure it out. The sleeves were also kind of complicated to figure out. I ended up having to wrap the mesh around twice, but it did work out, y'all. And let's get into the reveal, shall we? Oh my word, they're done. Oh, I'm just so proud of this. Sisters! Oh, I can't get enough of them. And I absolutely love how I kept them looking like Bradley dolls, but even their facial elements really have elements of the Sanderson sister characters. I truly can't get enough of how this project turned out.
All right, y'all. These wonderfully wicked ladies are complete, and I am so stinking proud of this project. Oh my goodness. Each one of them is just kind of has a special place in my heart. You know, this is the first one I jumped in where I felt confident I could do her clothing and such. And this is the first one where I kind of made a decision to do hair in a way that was more closely tied to the way the vintage Bradley dolls do hair. They use a lot of braids in a lot of their styles. And even though that's very different from the movie, I felt it was very true to a Bradley doll. And I loved the way that turned out. I think her outfit is super cute. I think if I had to go back and do something else, I would give her an accessory. I would probably make her a vacuum. I also would shorten her skirt. I did notice that with the different materials with the dolls, I got the skirt lengths a little wrong. Some of them are shorter, some of them are longer, but you live and you learn, right? I'm trying not to play favorites, but dang, this one's really cool. This would be the most advanced outfit that I created, and I just think it turned out really good. It's not exact to the movies, but I really, really love her. I also love her hair. Her hair, yet again, is not exact to the movies. And I also think her hair is kind of a deviation from the way Bradley dolls do hair. I don't think you would ever see a Bradley doll with hair like this. It would be more tight to the head, but I actually really like how this looks. I think as time goes on, I really want to make her some props. And of course, I want to make her book. So I really, really love the way Sarah turned out. I think if I were to redo something, I wish I had just more knowledge with how to work with doll hair. This doll hair is really heavy and thick for how heavy the doll is, and it makes her very top heavy. I wish I knew more how to like thin it out without ruining the wig, but I still think she looks really great. Ah, she's so pretty. You know, she is probably my favorite sister. Don't tell the others. But I just really love how she turned out. So I am so proud of this project. It turned out so great. I did absolutely hit stumbling blocks. I had to start all over, resource new dolls, scrap a ton of footage. My deadline pushed all the way up to September 30th, the day that Hocus Pocus 2 is premiering. So I hope this spooky vintage project brought you some inspiration. Maybe you'll see a Bradley doll in a store and think, hey, maybe I could do something with that. And if you like spooky, vintage, thrifted content, be sure to check out my full Thrift-o-ween playlist. There's all kinds of fun projects in there. And that is it, y'all. Stay creative. Bye.